Okay guys, we're going to jump right on in. I'm sure everyone knows how to apply some moisturizer, foundation, and under eye concealer. So we're going to zip right through this part. You don't have to watch that, but if you want to know what we're using, typical stuff: Embryolisse cream concentrate for the lotion, under eyes the MAC color corrector, and her foundation is Graftobian and Graceful Swan, I believe. Setting powder is Makeup Forever. So the first thing I'm going to do with Sierra is prime her eyelids. Eyelid priming is important for everyone, honestly, but when you're more fair-skinned and you can kind of sometimes see the veins on your actual eyelids, priming is really important so that you can get a nice smooth coverage with your shadows. I'm going right into filling her brows here, and I'm using my Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Pro palette. I am using for Sierra, I believe, dark brown is the color that I'm filling. I'm using both the lighter and the darker colors, the lighter in her inner corner, and then the darker brown I'm using to really structure and fill out the shape of the brow and the outer corners. Here I am using Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Duality to like structure the brows and clean up everything that's underneath and really give them a nice clean edge. Then we're going to go back through with a highlighter. The highlighter I'm using here is Vanilla from the BeautybyWhitneyMUA palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. We are totally rocking the ABH on this trial and using a ton of Anastasia products. So for the inner corner to start this shadow look out, I am using Caramel, and this is a really great crease color. I'm going to just put a little bit on there and then blend with a different brush. If you notice, I place the product on with one brush and then take a larger, puffier brush, but still a shadow blending brush, and really blend everything out from the crease line all the way up to her brow bone where it meets the highlighter color in Vanilla. Then I'm just going to clean up the edges, make sure that everything's nice and neat and there's not a lot of shadow on her cheeks and her cheekbones. Then I'm going to go ahead and move right into her lid color, which is one of my favorite matte brown colors by MAC. It's called Brown Down. It's a really solid color, and it's multifunctional definitely, but it's really good brown for fairer skins. It's got great pigment, but it doesn't go on too dark and too heavy, and obviously, like all MAC shadow colors, it blends seamlessly and really well. So I'm just taking a flat, smaller brush and patting it, actually like packing the color onto her lid, and then taking the same brush that I used to thin out and blend out her crease color, I'm going back over the actual lid color and just blending the whole thing into her crease. So she's going to have that depth on her lid to make her eyes look deeper and darker, but without a ton of shadow. So I'm going in now with a brown eyeliner pencil. I don't have it with me actually, so anyway, I'll link it below the video. But the brown Pro pencil, I know for sure it's a longwear pencil, just smudging it along the lash line. Then I'm going to go back in with a smudging brush from MAC, and I'm using Deep Brown from the Anastasia palette to go back over that the pencil that I just put on her lash line and really kind of deepen it up and make it look nice and smooth and smudgy and smoky without having to use any harsh liquid liners. I do use a liquid liner right along the edge of her eyelashes as like just kind of a guide where I'm going to put the actual falsies that I put on Sierra in just a minute. That way I can give her that depth. It's another way to kind of give depth to the eyes without having to tightline, which tightlining is another, ignore my dirty hand and my ball cap. That's kind of what makeup artists look like, just so you guys know. We're not a bunch of glamazon queens, and Sarah's probably laughing at me right now because I look like a mess. But anyway, ignore my dirty hands. I think I just noticed them in a minute and I'll wipe it off. But back to the eyelashes. I went ahead and after smudging in the powder and using the brown pencil, I go back over and just make a thin line with a liquid eyeliner, and then along that line on her lash line I place these lashes, and I'm pretty sure I'm using the Ardell Dummy Wispies on her. They looked really beautiful and it's super soft for this look. So this is the main part of the tutorial, the cream highlighting and contouring. And what I'm using for this is not a cream highlighting and contouring kit, but rather my kit of every color under the sun foundations from Graftobian. And you can really do cream highlighting and contouring with anything. If you do have this, if you have a kit with multiple colors in it, you can use that. But I would say the average woman probably doesn't. So a kit like the Anastasia Beverly Hills Cream Highlighting and Contouring palette is great for something like this. So I'm going along her forehead and I'm making a line and an arc to go around the perimeter, and then just kind of making small lines to draw it down onto her forehead in the places that I want to contour. I'm focusing more on the outer perimeter, and now I'm having Sierra suck in so you can kind of see on her actual cheek. I'm following a little bit below her actual cheekbone line, and I'm going to be blending that upward, not down, because I don't want to lose the entire bottom half of her face. So when I'm painting on the cream contouring, I put it on a little bit lower than her cheekbone and blend upward rather than setting higher and blending lower, because it's really easy to basically lose the bottom half of your face and contour way too much, and then you lose your jawline. So I put a little bit along the bottom of her jaw. You can see, do not go above your jawline, go lower. You can always blend it upward, but you don't want to have it too dark, too high. So as far as the nose goes, you are not going to be able to use the same brush on the nose as you're using on the rest of the face. There's no way that you're going to be able to get a nice precise line. So this is actually an eyeliner brush that I'm using, and I'm going along the natural line of her nose, like where her nose bone, what is the word for that? I have no idea. Anyway, the bridge of her nose is. So I just kind of go along the bridge of her nose and recreate the shape that I'm going to want, and I'm going to blend that in with a different brush than what I'm going to blend her face in with as well. Because what you can see in a lot of videos is that someone's just going to go in with a beauty blender and just bing, bing, boom, blend it, it's done. And if you notice, I didn't put on the highlighter down the bridge of her nose either, because that if you do all of that at once and then just think you're going to beauty blend over it and 1, 2, 3 it's going to be done, it's not realistic at all. Ignore me, the the ring light started to drop down into the frame, so I had to fix that really quick. But Sierra's being nice entertainment. Oh, and she's modeling. There she goes. She's beautiful. Love her so much. Anyway, so when you're doing this and you're blending, don't feel like you're going to 1, 2, 3 blend it and it's great. It's going to look crazy for a little bit. You have to keep working it, and you have to be aware that just because you put the product on your face doesn't mean that you need all the product. So err on the side of caution. I actually used a tiny bit too much on her face. Sierra has a really great bone structure that she didn't need as much of the cream foundation. So every time my brush goes out of frame, I'm actually wiping it off on the paper towels that you can see under my arm in the mirror behind her, because you don't have to commit to the amount of product you put on your face. It's a constant work in progress, and when you're highlighting and contouring, you have to be constantly aware of that. If you look now on this frame, you can see I actually have my palette behind her where I put additional foundation on, and I am using that on my brush and going back over all of the areas that I just darkened. So you don't just put the contour on and then leave it and it's going to be perfect. You actually have to keep working it in until it looks like a natural angular shadow on your face. That's the key. So now I'm taking my fingers, because the Graftobian foundation is a little bit heavier, heavier cream, and so I'm using the heat. I let the heat from her body warm up the foundation, and the heat from my fingers will really do the same thing and smooth it in. So I'm just going to take that highlighter that I had placed on originally at the beginning and rub that in underneath her eyes in that triangle shape from right under her eyes to down along her nose. Now I'm going to take my fingers and just begin to blend in the contouring that I did on her nose. So I went down the bridge of her nose underneath. I made a tiny line across the bridge of her nose. As you can see, I'm running over it right there. That's going to create almost like a button effect and make her nose appear to swoop up a little bit more, which she has a great nose. Peekaboo. Anyway, and then again, go back over with the foundation brush to blend it in, because otherwise the lines are going to be too harsh. And we all know that we've seen the lady who didn't blend her contouring in, and it was not a good look. So once I'm done with this, you'll be able to see Sarah will look at the camera, and you can see how everything's smooth and beautiful and super easy. But really, guys, the trick to this is just blending. I can't say it enough. Blend, blend, blend. So the next part is a little bit more highlighting, but with that actual, like the glowy highlighter. So I'm using Soft and Gentle by MAC. It's a really beautiful highlighter, especially for fair skin. It's pretty pure, meaning that it doesn't have pinky hues or golden hues. It's just basically a nice glimmery highlighter without adding any color. I went back over all of the cream contouring I did and just set it again with Makeup Forever powder. And now the tricky trick is going back in with the Anastasia Beverly Hills pressed powder highlight and contour kit with my fan brush, and I believe I used Fawn on her, which is a great color for fair skin, and just went back over the hollows of her cheeks, down the sides of her nose, and underneath her nose, and around the perimeter of her forehead. It just adds a second layer. You don't need to do it really heavy, but as you can see, it kind of defined her cheekbones even a little bit more on top of that cream contouring. And then I took that other brush and put the Soft and Gentle on the tops of her cheekbones to just make everything pop. So bridge of her nose, cheekbones, and now we're going to move on to her lips. So since this is more of a Kardashian-inspired look as far as the neutrals and nudes, I went with Strip Down from MAC. It's a really great lip liner as far as neutral colors. It's really, really good for fair skin. And then we went with Faux for the lipstick. It's not totally matte. It does have a bit of a cream sheen to it, but it's a really beautiful color. And this is where you guys are going to want to kill me. So was a super dork and didn't use my larger cards, didn't have them with me, and so shooting this is about to be over, and I'm gonna miss out on all of the epic modeling that would have happened with a beautiful model like Sierra as her after. So you're just gonna have to stare at her gorgeous face like this and trust me that she looked amazing. So I apologize. We'll make sure that doesn't happen next time, but I wanted to still get this tutorial up because I think there's a lot of really good information and I hope to help you guys learn. So I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.